Kiev threatens to sink civilian ships bound for Russia. The warning comes after Moscow de facto reimposed a naval blockade of Ukraine. The Ukrainian military has stated that it will consider all vessels sailing toward Russia's Black Sea ports as if they are carrying military supplies. They warned that these vessels could face the same fate as a Russian warship that was sunk earlier in the conflict. In a statement issued by Kiev's defense ministry on Thursday, they accused Moscow of turning the Black Sea into a danger zone, and vowed to respond forcefully to any ship in the area, including civilian vessels. The Ministry of Defense of Ukraine warns that from midnight on July 21, 2023, all vessels heading into the waters of the Black Sea in the direction of seaports of the Russian Federation may be considered by Ukraine to be carrying military cargo with all the associated risks, the statement said. The ministry also declared some areas in the northeast of the Black Sea, as well as the Kerch Strait, to be prohibited as dangerous, starting on Thursday. They emphasized that the fate of the cruiser, Moskva, demonstrates their possession of the necessary anti-ship capabilities. The cruiser, Moskva, served as the flagship of the Russian Navy before it was sunk in April 2022. While Kiev has not explicitly claimed responsibility for sinking the warship, American officials reportedly informed the New York Times that it was done with the assistance of U.S. intelligence. The Russian Navy attributed the sinking to an ammunition explosion on board, which caused a fire while the vessel was being towed to port in stormy seas. Moscow has yet to respond to Kiev's latest threat, but it comes after Russian officials issued a similar notice to vessels heading toward Ukrainian ports earlier in the week. The Russian military declared certain areas in international waters to be temporarily unsafe, and warned that ships attempting to reach Ukraine's ports could be seen as taking part in the Ukrainian conflict on the side of the Kiev regime. The Black Sea is home to a large Russian oil terminal, a major export hub for refined petroleum products, and key ports for coal, fertilizer, and grain. Its waterways witness heavy traffic from cargo ships, with tracking data showing 28 oil tankers currently in the area, as cited by Bloomberg. Moscow's restrictions effectively re-established the Russian naval blockade on Ukraine, which was lifted under the so-called Black Sea Grain Deal in July 2022. This agreement, facilitated by the UN and Turkey mediation, allowed the safe shipment of Ukrainian grain through Black Sea corridors amid the conflict between Moscow and Kiev. However, Moscow withdrew from the deal on Monday, citing the failure of the West to fulfill any of the promises made to Russia under the agreement, including re-enabling exports of grain and fertilizers. Russian warships have conducted drills in the Black Sea, during which Navy vessels were trained in intercepting trespassers in a restricted zone. The exercise was part of Russia's enforcement of a naval blockade, with the Defense Ministry reporting the details on Friday. The drills were prompted by both Russia and Ukraine declaring that any civilian ships traveling to each other's ports would be assumed to be carrying military cargo. As stated by the Russian ministry, the warships and naval aviation participated in isolating an area temporarily closed for traffic and implemented measures to detain a simulated trespassing vessel. Additionally, a Russian patrol boat successfully fired cruise missiles at a target ship on a training range, resulting in its destruction. Recently, Russia decided not to renew the Black Sea Initiative, a mediation arrangement with Ukraine facilitated by the UN and Turkey. The initiative previously allowed Kiev to export grain through its seaports. Moscow cited the UN's failure to persuade Western nations to lift sanctions hampering Russian food and fertilizer exports as the reason for the decision. Consequently, the Russian Defense Ministry announced the revocation of security guarantees under the deal, now considering all ships heading to Ukrainian ports in the Black Sea as potential carriers of military cargoes, and their flag nations as involved in the Ukrainian conflict on the side of the Kiev regime. In response to Russia's policy, the Ukrainian military issued a similar warning on Thursday, declaring the Black Sea a danger zone for Russian and Russia-bound ships. The statement also mentioned the sinking of the Russian fleet's former flagship, the Moskva, which occurred in April 2022, widely believed to have been a result of a Ukrainian missile attack. The Russian military explained that the warship had sustained heavy damage due to a fire and explosions of munitions on board.